Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. It says doctors warn of spike in Americans, or massive spike in Americans suddenly dropping dead from unexplained heart attacks. Yeah, well, I disagree with that because they are very explainable, and we understand that those of you that shot the J a couple of years ago, you're now seeing the repercussions of your actions for going down there and trusting in experimental drugs. Now you got people as young as 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, dropping dead or having heart problems, man. Okay, I know somebody that's 24 years old that has heart problems. I'm talking about the resting heart rate is probably like 180. At 24 years old, that's heart attack status, man. Like, how do you even live like that? You know, a resting heartbeat should be anywhere between, 62 beats per minute to like 80 beats per minute, depending on your arrhythmias, so to speak. They got what they call an athletic heartbeat, when your shit is pretty much it's like a tune-up to a car. You get the car tuned up, you don't even hear it. It's quiet, it's smooth. And that's what they consider the athletic heartbeat, which means you're in pretty good health. Your motor functionings are on point. But it says Americans are dropping dead from heart attacks at home at an alarming rate, doctors warn. And when you go into the whole history of the whole C19 and the DCC and how they took down the shit from the website and how they're not promoting the you-know-whats anymore, it's probably obvious that people that shot that you-know-what are the ones dying from this, okay? So to say that it's unexplained, it is explained, okay? You just don't want to admit that these things have been linked to 300% in turbo cancers, man, okay? Heart attacks was on a rise. You had 20% mortality rate. I believe 10 to 20 million people died from this shit, man, and those are low numbers. A lot of people went to the spirit world from 2020 to up into this day because, the effects of what we're witnessing is coming to pass, man. Okay, and we told you people, those of you that shot that, you're gonna start to see mortality rates increase. But it says here, researchers at Mass General Brigham, a Harvard-affiliated hospital, found that heart-related deaths going up 17% in the years following the you-know-what. And what was the main culprit behind the C19? Okay, the jump shots, the three-pointers, the juice, the snake venom. This thing had a 99.6% recovery rate. How the fuck do you have a 300% in turbo cancers now? Don't make any sense. But it says, while the exact number is unknown, in many of these cases, heart attacks have been at home despite deaths in hospitals decreasing. It said this suggests patients are being missed until it's too late. But Dr. Jason Weisfield, study author at the director of the Outcomes Research at Massachusetts General Hospital, said lots of reports have shown that there have been fewer heart attacks in hospitals since 2020, but something seems to be missing from the data. Yeah, they redact information from it. Okay, the DCC, they've known to falsify and manipulate numbers and to basically come out and admit that, this whole thing is causing people to go to the spirit world, man. And yet you still got people out there that call people conspiracy theories for bringing out these facts. Okay, you had insiders coming out exposing this information, man. But it says we now show that if you account for deaths at home, cardiac deaths are going up and have stayed up for years. But today there's a lot more people that having cardiac deaths at home, which also raises the concern that people with heart disease haven't been getting the care that they need since the such and such. But it says the you-know-what virus, which is thought to have infected 100 million Americans, have been shown to cause damage to the heart and blood vessels, which may be a factor. And it wasn't that. It was the shit they put in you. Okay, you see, they're missing a big point. And this is why this devil, he has to be put down, because he's steady going around a fact as to why people are dying. People have had inflammation around heart muscles, all because they shot the J. It wasn't the fucking virus itself. In some cases, people that may have had pre-existing conditions may have, had some complications from it. But a lot of this come from people going down there and experimenting with things that Esau told him to do that wasn't beneficial. They ain't gonna tell you that though, because there's a profit margin they have to reach, and it's about it's about an agenda to say that. It's called the Depop agenda. It says, but doctors say more factors must be at play, which are still being understood, including diet and lifestyle factors. It says, for example, a study this week found smoking marijuana or consuming edibles may be the risk. That's bullshit. Okay. But even then, with the shit that they're selling in the dispensary now, I mean, you can't really trust it, because all of a sudden now weed is legal, which, there's always been an edible plant. But the fact that they made the shit legal now, and they're bringing this information out, that can be part of it. But overall, I know it's from shooting a J. It says, though the full findings have not yet been released, the experts believe that the you-know-what could have caused linked to mystery rise in young Americans suffering heart attacks. But the study published Friday in JAMA Network Open looked at 127,000 death certificates from people who died in Massachusetts between January 2014 and 2024, and the average was 77, and about 52% were men. Okay, it says the researchers then made population estimates based on U.S. Census data from 2014 to 2023. But it says, using death certificate census data, the team set an expected cardiac death rate for 2020 to 2023, and they found that cardiac deaths were 16% higher than expected in 2020, 17% higher in 2021, and 2022 are 6% higher in 2023. And remember, they gave people 2 to 3, I think it was like 2 to 3 years. Then I think it was between 3 to 5 years. And we're literally in the 5th year, going into the 6th. So more deaths or more mortality rates are getting ready to be factored, because remember, when autopsy reports came out, and they redacted a lot of them from record, but they were pulling blood clots out of people damn near 6 to 12 inches, man. So what happens if the blood clots? I mean, you're gonna have a heart attack. Your body is gonna shut down, because your body needs to pump vessel through certain vital organs in order to keep the body functioning. Hell, even turbo cancers. But it says, however, they cited additional data showing heart attack hospitalizations decreased by 20 to 34% after the start of the you-know-what. But it says this suggests many of these excess deaths occurred at home. But peep this. Heart attack ages people 18 to 44. All right. So it was flat from 2019 to 2020. Then in 2021, the year that they started instituting the medicines, that's when they shot up. Okay. They went down in 2022 and they shot back up in 2023. Okay. Look at this bra right here. Chloe Burke went into cardiac arrest at 21 years old while cheering at the University of Houston. She is now educating others about cardiac arrest. You know why? Because the stupid bitch shot the J. All right. And that's just the bottom line. She shot the J. Okay. Because a lot of these feminists and a lot of these alphabet people was pushing that shit, man. And they ridiculed you if you didn't take it. But it says, you-know-what has been linked to myocarditis, inflammation of the heart muscle, epicarditis, which is inflammation of the sac-like lining around the heart. But with myocarditis, it's thought that you-know-what causes the immune system to attack itself and cause inflammation in the myocardium, the heart's muscle. But this same mechanism has been linked to pericarditis. But while most cases are mild, in rare instances, myocarditis could damage the heart and make it difficult for it to pump blood, eventually leading to heart attack or heart failure, heart attack, and stroke. It says, in cases as rare as 200,000, in the you-know-what, and you-know-what may trigger a similar immune response and cause myocarditis or pericarditis. So there you go, here. So they're admitting it here, but yet they still try to redact it. But it says, C19-induced inflammation also alters the heart's electrical systems, leading to irregular heartbeats called arrhythmias. Okay, it says research released this week also pointed to smoking weed and taking edibles at least 3 times a week as a potential cause of heart attacks, but the team found ethical cells, which line the blood vessels and regulate blood flow, release less nitric oxide in people who regularly smoke marijuana or took edibles. Okay, so peep this. 24 years old, suffered a heart attack. You know why? You could tell these people shot the you-know-what. I mean, just look at them. The Edomite woman was all for it. This is why we told brothers out there, don't take that shit. And then you had Israelites out there pushing this venom on their congregation. And we straight up told people at Great Millstone, we said, no, we're not going to take it. If you took it, that's on you. You have complications, that's on you. But we told our people, look, don't take it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have problems. And people are having problems now. Okay? But anyway, this is the book of Job 13:4. It says, but ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. Yeah, no value because, like I mentioned, this guy Fauci paid these researchers in Wuhan, I believe, $8 million and $9 million to say that it was it came from a particular bat or some shit that was created. It wasn't. He basically paid them off to say that it was not a lab leak. And they found out in some university, I think it was the University of Massachusetts or one of those institutions on the East Coast, that they actually created the virus right along with it. I believe it was like the Wuhan Lab of Virology or some shit. I can't remember. But even then, they had correspondence back and forth between physicians here in the United States and overseas, and they were creating biolabs, man. Okay, hell, they found biolabs in the Ukraine. So it makes sense as if this was a weapon that was being used to cause a depop, because even going back to 2020, when the Georgia Guidestones were miraculously blown up, that represents a new step in their plan, you know? But it says here, but ye are forgers of lies, you're all physicians of no value, okay? And that's you devils out there, because a doctor just means to falsify, you know? Let's go here. 2 Ezra 5, and I'm going to read this out again. It says, nevertheless, as coming tokens, behold, the days shall come when they which dwell on the earth should be taken in great number, and the way of truth should be hidden, and the land should be barren of faith. Yeah, a great number. A lot of you people are getting ready to be just unalive, man. Okay, dropping dead. Hell, it was I think he was 18 years old. I think he was like a football player, a track star, or something like that. A young man dropped dead. Bam. Why? Because he shot the J. And there's doctors that's coming out mentioning this. They saying that these things have been linked to turbo cancers, man. But yet they're not covering on the mainstream narrative because, I mean, why would they? Okay, they still have to have control of the narrative to push conspiratorial views on other people to make them look crazy. You know, but it says, but iniquity should be increased above that which is now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now shall have root, shall thou see wasted suddenly, because this place is just going to be utterly destroyed. And we're in them times now that Babylon the Great, aka America, is getting ready to be destroyed. All right. So let's go from the book of here to Isaiah 40. I think it's 40 and 29. This is the book of Isaiah 40, and I'm gonna start at verses 20. Yep, let's start at verses 29. It says, he give power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increaseth their strength. But even the youth should faint and be weary, and the young men should utterly fall. Yeah. Even though this is talking about Jake, but as a collective, people were weaker. Okay, no way in hell. When I was 18 years old, I was getting gassed out, bro. Like when I was 18 years old, I was in immaculate shape, you know. Still in good shape now, hell. But yeah, you got kids in their 20s. I mean, no substance. They have no type of what do you call it, vitality going through their veins. I mean, they're just totally cooked out here. It's kind of sad, man. Hell, you looking at these YNs, man. I mean, these dudes are maybe a buck, you're soaking wet, 100 pounds, man. And I was coming from the gas station the other night, and there's one cat, bro, young dude, man. You know, fucking hot crunchy curls, taquitos. You know, he was donuts and potato chips and sugar. You know. I mean, I get it every once in a while. You know, you want to crave. Like, I ain't gonna cap. I had some homemade chocolate chip cookies, but it was made with the best ingredients. You know, it wasn't with all that 26 ingredient shit. It had maybe 2-3 ingredients in it. You know, brown sugar, wheat flour, or almond flour, chocolate chips, and that was it. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't need 30 different ingredients to get a fucking something to eat. But this dude, I mean, he literally 10 o'clock at night, drinking pop, you know, drinking sugary drinks, donuts, potato chips. I'm like, bro, this is what you're eating? And you wonder why your spirit is all off, man, because I'm a firm believer in what you put in your body, it reflects on the outside, man. You always irritated and mean and sluggish is because, you know, your diet. Okay, these food has spirits on it, man. You know, and what you're putting into your body, you eat a lot of restaurant food, a lot of fast food, then you're gonna feel like that. You know, you are what you eat. So it says he giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases strength. It says even a youth should faint and be weary, even a young man should utterly fall. Yeah. 18-year-old men having heart attacks. 24-year-old baby girl, heart horrible, bad. You know? So yeah, it's safe to say the average person may not even live to be 55 years old. If you live, getting old in this kingdom is a curse any goddamn way. But even then, 50 years old is too young to be dying. 44 years old, you dying from a heart attack. The couch life is not where it's at. But that's why this devil's gonna pay, because he's literally the harbinger of death. Revelation 6, and I'm gonna start at 7. It says, when he hath opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. Something pale represents death, sickness. It says, in it, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given it to them over the fourth part of the earth. Okay, and we're in the utmost parts of the earth. It says to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth, man. Hunger, the sword is weapon, viruses, things they're creating in labs. That's all part of it. Okay. Hunger, famine is coming, death, and with the beasts of the earth. So this scripture is getting ready to play out in a magnificent way, man. So with that, all praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you will edify. Until the next lesson. Shalom.